Hello, Home Slices. It's Kiara with Home Slice Adulting coming to you with my review for Iyanla Fix My Life Season 8, Episode 2, which is entitled My Marriage is None of Our Business. Thanks so much for clicking on this video. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And I'm just going to go ahead and get into the meat and potatoes of this. I really want for my Iyanla Fix My Life reviews to be a little quicker, but I just get so into it. So I'm going to try today and actually keep it down. So let's just jump into it. So I like to start off with the characters, and so in this case we have a marriage. The wife's name is D'Aydra. She is 35 years old. We have Idris, who is 46 years old. And they're growing apart in their marriage. And so just a few little details. They were only together for 6 months before they got married. So needless to say, they didn't know much about each other. However, so when Idris Idris is 46, D'Aydra is 35. So he's 11 years, and y'all can't do math, 11 years older than her. So that's one factor. They have been married for 6 years now. So, fairly recent marriage. D'Aydra had 2 children before the marriage. And in the marriage, she had 2 more children with Idris, I don't know. I'm gonna just call him Idris. This is Idris's second marriage. He had 7 children before the current marriage with D'Aydra. Now he has 9 children, and his oldest daughter is 29 years old, which is only 6 years younger than his wife. What the heck? What the heck is happening? So it looks like he had his first child at 17, and he married someone who's only just a few years older than his wife. Okay, a few years older than his oldest daughter or whatever. Okay, yeah, that's crazy. So they have a lot of stuff going on. They have 11 children between them, 2 of them that are biologically from both of them. So that's crazy. I feel like we kind of just skipped over that in the episode, but that's a lot. 11 freaking children. 11 kids. She was 29 when she married him, and she had 2 kids. Look, let me tell y'all something. If there are 9 children between us at the beginning of our marriage, I'm getting my tubes tied during my honeymoon, okay? There's no way I'm having more kids with this person who already has 7 kids. He has 7 kids. I have 2. No way I'm having additional kids with this guy. No way. I don't understand that, but moving on. Better than me. Okay, so when they first walk in the door, right from the door, they're blindfolded. They're asked to make a choice at these 3 doors. They're supposed to choose which door is reflective of their experience of the marriage. And for him, his doors say, I married the woman of my dreams. Door number 2 says, I made my bed so I have to lie in it. And door number 3 says, I married a nightmare and don't know how to get out. He picks door number 2, saying that he made his bed and now he has to lie in it, and now he's given a bucket of lemons. I don't know if they expected the lemons to be self-explanatory, and I feel like I get it, but we didn't really talk much about it. And it's like, if you're gonna use this as an illustration, maybe at least talk a little bit about it during the show. But I mean, it's like, I was given lemons, let's turn it into lemonade. That's what I gathered from it. But next we have D'Aydra. She has a different set of doors. Door number 1 says, I married my knight in shining armor. Door number 2 says, I got married because I wanted to be chosen. And door number 3 says, if you only knew. She picks the if you only know door, or only knew door, which is door number 3. And Iyanla has them wear around their necks, like on a lanyard, the saying that was on the door that they chose. And she basically said that even if you have never said this about your marriage out loud or said this to your partner aloud, you wear it. And I thought that was really interesting, is that even if you feel like you are hiding your feelings about something or someone, your actions and your speech reflects what's really in your heart. So I thought that was a really good message, and that's something that I took from it. So moving on, they started talking about their marriage all together. Again, them having 11 kids is nuts. Okay, that's crazy. Anyways, they met at work. She said their relationship started out very effortless and that she felt very safe with him, and that they moved in together 3 months into dating. And Iyanla asked, did you move in with him or did he move in with you? And she said, oh, he moved in with me. And I was like, girl. If all I have to do to get a house to live in is to compliment you on how you're eating strawberries, I mean, these niggas, like these guys out here got it figured out. If all I have to do is give a compliment and wait a couple months to have a place to lay my head, they just got the game figured out. And not to say that he didn't actually like her or didn't grow to love her, but ain't nobody moving in with me after 3 months. After he just complimented me and makes me laugh. No freaking way. I don't understand the reason why people move so quickly. I mean, for her, she was 29 years old, and I understand she had 2 kids, but if you have custody of your 2 children and you're moving in somebody who you've only known for 3 months, we kind of glazed over that in the show, but it's problematic. Them not getting to know your partner before you marry them is a huge mistake. And I'm sure there's plenty of studies out there that talk about how marriages last or how marriages are healthy based on the number of years that someone knew their partner before they were married. So I haven't looked that up, but I feel like there is some kind of correlation, right? So anyways, moving on. They got married 6 months after their first date, and everything about it was like crazy. Like the start of their relationship was really crazy. But anyways, so Iyanla asked the question that she asked everybody: why are you here? So they're saying that there's a disconnect. He says that he doesn't feel wanted. He says that the children are basically an anchor that's tying him to D'Aydra, and he really can't answer if he wants in or out. And Iyanla assumes that because he doesn't answer, that basically he's out, and she rightfully assumes that. But then when Iyanla asked D'Aydra, how do you feel about his response, she was like, I appreciate the honesty. Girl, he didn't say nothing. He didn't say nothing. What he said was nothing. He literally said nothing. And Iyanla assumed that meant he wasn't all in and that he was all out. So it wasn't honesty, it was a lack of a response. So I thought that was weird. It might have been some crazy editing stuff, but girl, he didn't say nothing. You can't appreciate honesty if he didn't say nothing. So I didn't get that. But anyways, he clarified and said, I don't want out of the marriage totally. I want us to be out of these difficult situations and these challenges, and I want to be with her as she is now. So they both said the same thing. D'Aydra wanted in. They claimed that they weren't in love with each other and that communication was their biggest issue. So apparently they started a business, but they are not true partners. D'Aydra called the business the other woman. She said there was some difficulty and some challenges and some obvious resentment because he started the business while she was pregnant. And she wanted to quit her job while she was pregnant, while he was starting the business. So he didn't feel supported by her. Iyanla summarized that in a really good way. So she talks to D'Aydra alone, and she said, well, earlier this year he asked for a divorce. And I was like, she ain't put up no fight. And I don't know if this was part of the reason why her husband didn't leave. I don't know if he was expecting her to be crying and hanging on him like oh girl in Diary of a Mad Black Woman when he was kicking her out of the house and she was holding on to his leg and trying to stay in the house. She didn't do that. She just said okay. And so they ended up staying together, but he couldn't leave at that point in time. So it came across as if she felt like he slipped her the okie doke because he had claimed that he was a different person and a new person and that he had learned from his mistakes from previous relationships. And then when she got with him, he came across as this guy who only talked you know, he came across as this guy that only was talking to her about those things and wasn't really living up to them. And Iyanla was like, well, you know, after 6 months, you know, you don't know very much about him. So Iyanla says there's no fight in either of you. And when you get to the point of indifference, that's when, you know, you're beyond the point of return. I'm sorry, y'all. It's 2 a.m. So excuse me. I'm getting tired. So, but anyways, so that's interesting because, you know, there's a saying that like the opposite of love isn't hate, it's indifference. And when you get to the point where you don't care either way, that's like a really dangerous place to be in your relationship. So that's what Iyanla was saying. So, D'Aydra was crying, but I felt like she wasn't really saying anything except that she didn't want to lose her family. Besides that, it didn't necessarily come across as if she actually liked her husband or had other reasons for wanting to stay besides not wanting to break up her family. And I mean, not breaking up your family is a legitimate reason to want to stay, but I just couldn't get a good read off of her. Something about her perception of what was going on or something along those lines. There was a disconnect for me. I don't know what the deal was. But next we talked to Idris by himself. We learned a little bit about his background. He was basically abandoned by his parents. His dad was a drug addict. His mom wasn't with him for like 5 years of his life. And he is lonely in his marriage, and he was lonely, you know, as a child who was abandoned. So Iyanla made that connection, and they started their business kind of haphazardly. And Iyanla keeps drawing this parallel throughout the entire show about, you know, figuring out, is this your wife or your mom? Figuring out if this is your husband, your brother, or your dad. Like, you all have these roles mixed up and crossed and all that type of stuff, and you need to figure it out. She says that Idris doesn't have a voice. He has 1 foot in and 1 foot out of the business and the marriage. He has no ownership or accountability, and neither of them say what they mean or tell the truth. So next we get to the point where they're doing an activity where they choose between saving the marriage or the business. And they have these real intimate conversations, and they say things that they have been feeling for years but have never expressed. And this is the point where I need to look in the mirror and like take what you can from this free Iyanla lesson, okay? So I'm getting married in a few months, about 5.5 months, and we've been going through premarital counseling. And it's causing me and my fiance to really think about our relationship in a way that we haven't necessarily thought about it before. And so it's challenging us to make sure we're doing the right thing, make sure that we're being the right people for each other, and make sure that we have our priorities straight and that we have important conversations about our future, about sex, about money. So it's illuminating in a lot of ways, and it's bringing up issues and conversations that we should have had. And now that our nuptials are getting closer, it's like we definitely need to have this stuff ironed out before we actually get married. So seeing this situation here kind of hit home for me based on where I am right now. But anyways, so they have an intimate conversation. They reveal things to each other that they've never said to each other before. They talk about how the business hasn't filed taxes in the past 5 years. She calls him lazy. He says he can't rely on her. He don't trust her as a business partner. She don't trust him as a business partner either. She would never say this to him to his face. They can't trust each other. They left things unsaid for years. Iyanla says, you don't respect her, but you don't respect yourself as well, to the point where you have set yourself up for failure. And I thought that was really interesting, is that he came out of nowhere and was like, well, I trusted my wife to get the tax work done. And it's like, well, did you really? Because you just said you don't trust her as a business as a business partner. But he was like, well, we never made that agreement. And Iyanla, the way she said it, it made sense. It sounded like he was sabotaging himself so that he didn't have to work with his business anymore. You know, it's a business that wasn't his idea. It was his wife's idea. And he feels like he has to take care of things himself, and he has to provide for 11 freaking children, right? So there's one issue. And then there's the step parent situation, and and D'Aydra starts to have this conversation with him about how his kids are turning out to be as lazy as she thinks he is. And then Iyanla is like, okay, let's trade places, and I'm gonna show you how to have this conversation. And that was another moment for me. I was like, yeah, I need to I need to work on that, because I mean, just as the person that I am, I would classify myself as emotionally adept, in tune with my emotions, and my fiance is less so. I mean, that's just the culture of how men, or particularly Black men, have been raised, right? So for me, seeing the way that Idris responded to Iyanla versus how he responded to his wife was like very eye-opening for me. So I think something I'm going to take away from this is figuring out the right way to actually get what I want, because coming at it in a way that is combative or aggressive or blaming and pointing fingers is not effective, and just draws a wedge between stuff. So I took a lot from that. And then Iyanla talks to Idris alone. She finds out he has no spiritual background, that there's no one holding him accountable, and that he needs to work on that. Oh, excuse me. And that stood out to me too. I mean, for a while now, I have not been really spiritually connected the way that I want to be, or the way that I should be. So that's something I have to work on as well. So this episode kind of really hit home for me as a person who's about to be married in a little while. So anyways, there comes a point where he brings her back into the room. Iyanla says to both of them, both of your dads were addicts, right? And it's particularly for D'Aydra, like, your dad disappointed you because of his addiction. And then Idris says, I didn't know her dad was an addict. Nigga, do y'all know anything? Do y'all know anything about it? No, not knowing that her dad was an addict, especially if your dad was an addict too, it really feels like y'all were just basically two strangers playing house and having babies together. Like, how could you not know that? How could that not be a part of her experience that she shared with you, or a part of her experience that you asked her about? That was weird. Okay, that was weird to me. But anyway, so it's the next day. We got D'Aydra. Y'all, this is the part where I'm gonna be like, I don't know, Iyanla. I just personally don't really like this idea of being this beautiful object for your husband or your significant other. I'm a human being. I got a few holes. If I feel like doing my hair, I'm gonna do it. If I feel like doing my makeup, I'm gonna do it. And if you want me to do something for you, dress up, wear lingerie, you better ask me. Otherwise, I'm probably not gonna do it. I feel resentful of being this beautiful object for my husband to desire. It's like, I don't know why that bothers me so much. I think it's probably like the feminist in me, and thinking about that song by Selena Gomez, and how a few women kind of came after her for the song, like, I want to look good for you, that song. And I don't know, I feel like I kind of agree with the women that were attacking. Not that I would attack Selena Gomez, but I just resent being this object to be looked at, to be desired, to be penetrated. Like, I'm more than that. And if like, I don't have to have, I mean, the makeover turned out nice. She looked great in the end, but it's like, I don't know. I don't know when Iyanla made this jump between the conversations that they were having and D'Aydra getting a makeover. And I understand there's a lot of stuff that was edited out, and I don't know if this was something that they wrote in about, like him saying that he doesn't find his wife desirable anymore, or that he thinks she's overweight, or that she doesn't dress up, or I don't know that he actually said anything. There was a disconnect there. So if there was a connection there that we didn't see, then maybe, okay, like I get that, because that's different if he said something. But is this a conclusion that Iyanla came to by herself? I don't know. So that's just how I feel about it. I'm resentful of that. But anyways, oh, and D'Aydra accepts that she's part of the problem and that she, is disappointed in him without saying it, but she's displaying it with her action. So it's a new day with Idris. Idris's progress seemed more drastic than D'Aydra's, and Idris is, realized that he kind of married his mom, and he wrote a prayer for his wife, and it was so beautiful, and he was on the verge of tears, and I thought that was really sweet. I thought that was wonderful. And he really seemed to get something out of this experience. And he said that he was going to step up in his home and his business and get some man training. So D'Aydra walks in, and of course she looks great. And, they do some more exercises together. Iyanla tells him a marriage is never destroyed from the outside. He said he's going to build a foundation in his business instead of looking for new business, get all the outstanding stuff taken care of, and that marriage and fatherhood is his focus. And at the end of the day, they both decide that they're all in. So in the post-credit updates, they're doing a little better. They're communicating better. And Idris, now he wants to respect his wife D'Aydra as a business partner. What can we glean from that update? If I had to guess, he was not as up to the challenge of running the business by himself as he thought he was, and he needs his wife's help. And he's going to have to swallow his pride and let her be a part of the business if they want to get the stuff done. Or, on the other hand, D'Aydra could have kind of, just wedged herself and weaseled herself into that position. Who knows? So, yeah. So, I thought that this was a good episode. I feel like it hit home for me based on where I am in my life as a, person who's engaged, about to be married. It gave me a lot to think about. It taught me a number of lessons, and I enjoyed the episode. So tell me what you thought of this episode. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and peace out, home slices.